Ferris wheel curved high over the trees on the north bank, an arc of yellow and red, a long chain of white lights. Carnival machinery tilted toward the clouds, rose and fell, blurred in a haze of smoke colored by neon as if in a grainy film, a projection of a fair decades ago. The illusion lasted until they heard the screams and cries, straining chords, a child's long wail. A chorus of fireworks shot above, exploded into a garden of fire, illuminating the water, the ship, the 5 peaks around the town in sheets of green, blue, purple. "Is this Chick Shinny?" Captain Mendoza said. "Where else could we be?" Elise said. "But I don't remember it like this." "I don't remember anything like this," the captain thought. The sense that everything was turning to smoke, to light, keeping its shape only as a matter of luck. She had found herself in the last few days touching her own forehead with 3 fingers, examining the texture of the skin, the hardness of the skull beneath, thankful that it was still there. The boy from the camp seemed to understand. He was sleeping better, the first mate said, maybe too well, 10, 12 hours, had begun to play with the other kids on the ship. Soccer, a frantic frolic in the water, a game of hide-and-seek through the Carthage's dark halls, during which one of them burned an arm in the boiler room, lay in her bed with bandages from wrist to shoulder trying to ward off infection. The boy was lying on the deck now, face up toward the fireworks, eyes wide open, chest heaving, as if the blooming color was a gate opening, and something was walking through it that only he could see. "You still want to go?" the captain said. Elise looked at Andre. Her boy, the ship's child, the deck his nation, the place where his girl was. She had seen them walking back onto the deck from somewhere darker, their clothes rearranged, trying not to hold hands. And she had seen the looks they gave each other, eyes flashing and darkening, charging the air. It was hitting him so hard, the poor boy. She understood, for she had felt it herself, that jumping spark, still felt a little of that thrill when something her son said, something he did, reminded her of his father. It was going to hurt him to be taken from the ship, from that girl and her green eyes, her small hands, but he would survive it, and she could not let him go. She let him say goodbye to her, and made him climb into a small boat facing the shore. The girl stood at the rail unmoving. For the space of 2 breaths, the mother felt guilty, for she had broken her son's heart. Looked back at the girl, trying to communicate to her. "You'll see. When you have a child of your own, you will see." Then she took his hand, turned away, and did not look back. The shore was thrown into shadow by the lights beyond it. She thought at first that it was choked with the wreckage of the building, then realized it was a pile of rafts and small craft scattered along the rocks and mud, tangled in the exposed roots. A dozen bodies of fish twisted into the debris. She rowed until she could not get any closer to the shore, then dropped an anchor, put a leg over the side into the water. "Come in," she said to her son. He was looking at the bodies. "I don't want to go. I heard gunshots." "Those are fireworks," she said. "I know the difference," he said. "Come on," she said. "What do we need to find Monkey Wrench for anyway?" he said. If you couldn't find me, she thought, you would understand, but she knew it was unfair to say it. "Just come on," she said. They waded to shore together through the crowd of boats, then up to the line of trees and damp sandbags, broke through to the marshy field between the town and the river. It was ablaze with light, thick with smoke and people. The carnival ride swung overhead, dropping rust, joints creaking, engines screaming too loud. With a wrenching hoot, a car carrying 3 people bent from its frame, fell 17 feet to the ground and crushed its passengers. The crowd first dispersed like water disturbed by a stone, then flowed back in again. The people waiting in line stayed there, brushed the rust off their shoulders. Only flinched a little when another car careening over them shuddered downward. A gun went off behind them, another. A short burst of machine gun fire, weeping. On the midway, a man cutting a zigzag through the dirt, holding a bottle by its neck, sidled up to Elise, put his hand on her shoulder and said, "Is this a party or what?" Just off the midway, still in the glow of its lights, a horde of people were hopping on one leg, shaking as if in a fit. Behind them, 4 bodies lay on a long white sheet, weak surprise on their frozen faces. Another carnival ride stuttered and whined, and a ripple of violence swept over a crowd. A crest of gunshots and shouting that flew through them and was gone. 3 of the dancers fell, and one crawled away out of the light. His legs shuffled in the dust and then did not move. Under the shriek of the machines, Elise and Aaron could hear wailing. They ran then, mother and son, out of the field, until they were crouching next to a brick building in the glass-strewn mud under the branch of a wide old tree. The tree surveyed the chaos as if from 100 miles away. It could wait. I'm so sorry, she said. I didn't mean to bring you here. She had not known she still had such power over him. Felt a flash of embarrassment that he had seen her like that, getting away from herself. The street leading to the center of town was clogged with tents, shacks with thin metal walls, houses to either side with porches full of people, piles of belongings slipping towards refuse, small files everywhere. She looked toward the low buildings in the valley, the stone bank building, the white church nestled against the cliff, growing from the earth like a tooth. The houses in tight knots along roads tangled in the hills, the canal running by the school. They would take this place apart, she thought. It could not withstand their hunger. Goodbye, beautiful town. Every Sunday, the Baptists used to cram into the church up the hill, park their cars all over the road in front, and sing loud inside. She'd kissed a man by the canal once, put her hand on the back of his head, got up on tiptoes to be closer to him. Andre, still a baby, lashed to her back and dreaming, fidgeting against her. Perhaps in his head he was flying like the birds he had seen, though he could not yet walk. You saved me, she said to this place, me and my son. I'm so sorry I can't save you. And the town answered, don't worry, child. I'm already moving on, I always was. The sun had not yet risen when they reached the West Side Ballroom. In the light leaking through the clouds, it was possible to imagine that it was as she had left it. The streaks left by fire are only shadows across the walls that would soon be erased by the light. But the doors on one hinge, askew on the frame, the scent of charred vinyl and timber. The flames were recent visitors, harbingers. Elise recognized nothing in the front room. The damage done in the years she'd been gone. The carpet had turned to ash, the furniture burned to bones. The ceiling half-eaten, the remaining half-buckled, its seared edge hanging like a taloned hand. Andre began to cough, drew in a wheezing breath to cough again. The room pushed its way into him, into the walls of his lungs. She may have cut months off the end of his life, she thought, then thought of what was coming and stopped worrying. But the back room was as she remembered. Her first night there, sleeping on the floor, the parties in the parking lot, Andre of 13 months, his first steps goaded and cheered by a room full of drunk musicians. Come here, little dude, you can do it, one of them said. And another to her, is this really his first steps right here? Is this the shit right here? Andre had 2 years when everyone in the world was in the third person. His small hands around her thumbs as she lay on the floor and he climbed her angled knees, stood up, then leaned into her hands and balanced there, his feet in the air. Andre had 7, the flash of the soles of his sneakers as he crawled into a drainage pipe, shimmied through to end up under a grate in the lot. Called up to the people walking by, laughed when she told them how dangerous it was. All at once she was crying and hugging her grown boy, running her hands through his hair. He did not like it. He was too old for it. She did not care. Mom, Mom, he said. They saw the gun's barrel first, then the man behind it. Are you kidding me, Monkey Wrench said. Are you kidding me? He dropped the gun and ran forward, lifted them both in his arms, his big hands on their backs. I tried to keep it together, he said, but I couldn't do it. You did do it, she said. Don't you see? Here we are. You did it. So they ended as they began. The big one was almost a pond stick shimmy when I found them there. I could see it beginning to fall onto the 5 peaks, a great wave cresting and crashing. The first rain just threads of gray drifting onto the streets, the houses, the stoplights, the churches, the river flowing dark and fast. The lightning over the next hill starting fires, the smoke mingling with the clouds, a distant roar. I took the last 10 miles of highway to the West Side Ballroom, past the empty supermarkets and dollar stores, past quiet houses, abandoned auto dealerships. Saw the sign for the Zephyr Plaza even before I saw the rising smoke. They were all outside, Elise, Andre, Monkey Wrench, 12 others who had found their way back. They had enough food for a few more days, a fire in a wide pit, a pot suspended over the flames, the cooking warm and sweet. You could see the good coming from them, see it flowing over the land. A woman sang a slow song I could not recognize, the melody floating and swooping, backed up by a man picking at a guitar with 4 strings left. The talk then of those who were not there, who did not make it, and Elise and Andre spoke of the Carthage, the years they had spent aboard that ship. The captain, the revelers, the musicians, even Sonny Jim and the priest. Just nodded when I told them what had happened to them all. The others told old jokes they had already heard so many times they could just repeat the punchlines, pieces of punchlines. Make them all ugly again, as soon as I get these pajamas off. They laughed all the same. It was almost upon them. You know you could go, I told them. You still have time. We know, they said, but we're already where we want to be.